Imagine that, in some hidden corner of the universe, there exists a key. It is not made of metal, nor wood, nor stone. It is a key forged with ideas, with energy, with the absolute power of the mind. A secret whispered through time, known only by those bold enough to open the door to their own greatness. Elizabeth Towne did not just discover that secret, she put it into words. Her legacy is not merely a collection of thoughts, but a map. A path that guides us through the mystery of the mind, the spirit, and the thought that creates and transforms realities. What if I told you that everything you desire already exists, just waiting for you to call it forth? What if destiny was not written but shaped by each one of your thoughts? This text is not an ordinary story. It is a journey, an awakening, an echo of ancient truths, whispering that the power of creation is not found in chance nor in the stars, but within you. Open your mind, cross the threshold. The new thought is about to be revealed. Chapter 1. Reducing Friction and Preserving Love. Professor Larkin and another person believe that most marriages are unhappy and that marriage should be prohibited. I disagree. I believe that most couples love each other more than they realize, as evidenced by the sacrifices they make for one another, their commitment to staying together despite difficulties, and the fact that they do not consider others as preferable. Many couples could not get along with anyone else due to the lack of mutual adaptation. The problem lies in the old idea that marriage is a form of slavery. However, even in the most difficult moments, love persists. Some men and women can transform their relationship into something beautiful, as a man did in his dream about hell. Improving a marriage can be the task of either partner, preferably the wife, who is often the one responsible for the household. For a woman to achieve a full life, she must live according to her conscience, adapting to circumstances and improving her life without generating conflict. Faith, hope, and kindness are key to reducing disagreements and revealing love. Eliminating friction involves making adjustments without being submissive. It is crucial to share and respect each other's freedom in marriage. If the husband does not allow freedom, it is suggested to yield and avoid fights, maintain silence, and let conscience guide the relationship. The marriage is an opportunity to build heaven on earth, so it is important to make realistic promises and commit to love and selfless service. Cultivating gratitude and forgiveness are key attitudes. Avoiding harm and responding with sincerity and kindness promote harmony. Remember that it always takes two to fight, and anyone can stop it. Let things flow and trust in time and the unique spirit. Patience is essential to maintain peace in marriage. Chapter 2. The habit of losing one's temper. It is common for people to get angry easily, even in simple situations like playing cards. I used to get angry when children interrupted my exciting readings. It bothered me so much that I even hated myself for it. But one day, while reflecting, I remembered a phrase that made me realize my impatience. If your right hand causes you to fall, cut it off and throw it away. I decided to stop reading religious novels for a year. During that time, I developed self-control and serenity. When I finally returned to reading a novel, even though children and others interrupted me many times, I did not feel impatient once. I understood that if I had continued reading, I would have wasted energy on impatience. The demon of irritation affects everyone, but developing self-control helps improve it. Provoking anger in someone only worsens things. Who wants love from someone who treats them badly? We all prefer to be left in peace. When tensions rise, choose to speak of peace rather than confrontation. Staying calm is key in moments of conflict. Once calm returns, it is the right time to express love and say, "I love you." Confrontation generates vibrations that affect everyone, like throwing stones into a pond. Peace stops these conflicting vibrations and allows harmonious ones to begin. When you make someone angry, don't apologize immediately or downplay the situation. Stay calm and wait for the atmosphere to calm before changing the subject. Then, if necessary, you can apologize and the person will be more receptive. The same applies to conflicts with children. Reprimands and punishments only increase tensions. Separating both and speaking peacefully first can help resolve the situation effectively. A parent who speaks peacefully can accomplish much with a child. Chapter 3. Help for the heavy wife. Changing my perspective was crucial to avoid getting caught up in mundane tasks. I have learned that what I hate or fear persists until I learn to face it calmly and use it to my advantage. Life teaches us lessons repeatedly until we understand and use them creatively. The lack of interest traps us in tedious tasks. When we are not interested, work becomes slower. Hard work serves as a stimulus to seek changes and sharpen our wit. I discovered that I could turn what I disliked into something I could love by applying wisdom and interest to challenging tasks. I found a new perspective. I never imagined I could use my wisdom and spiritual power in daily work, channeling it into common tasks. This allowed me to develop my skills and find satisfaction in what I previously considered monotonous. I realized I was behaving like a child who wants to play scales on the piano rather than practice them. I understood that the skills needed for my monotonous work were also essential for any grand task I aspired to. I decided to invest my energy in what I had to do, preparing for future opportunities. Hard work became the foundation of my development. Now I see every challenge as an opportunity for something better. Sometimes losing hope may be the first step toward what we want. Believing in present health is crucial for healing. Affirming I am health and maintaining equanimity are important practices. Reserving moments of daily calm helps quiet desires and find joy in our impulses. Over time, life will flow through us with serenity, ready to face challenges with calmness and clarity. Chapter 4. How concentration eliminates monotony. Meticulous attention to every detail of daily work is essential. Invest all your thought in the task until it is completed impeccably and with joy. If something seems tedious, it is because you haven't put enough interest into it. Concentration means putting your whole being into what you are doing at that moment. With practice, you will perform your task exceptionally and enthusiastically. You can allow brief moments of reflection, but always return to your work with energy. Imagine you are practicing piano exercises. If you focus on each movement, you will do it with precision. If you allow your mind to wander, your desires will follow that distraction, and your execution will be careless. Concentration fills your actions with loving intelligence. Daily tasks are like necessary exercises before you can express something more beautiful. It is crucial to differentiate between fully focusing your thought on an action until you can do it without conscious effort, and the common way of doing things, where you only invest part of your mental energy in the work while your mind wanders. The distraction weakens your body and robs each action of its potential for joy. When you face a task you consider monotonous, stop, refocus your thoughts, and take a few deep breaths to recharge your energy. Then, turn your thoughts into actions with determination. If your mind drifts, redirect your attention to the task calmly but firmly. This concentration provides self-direction and prepares you to reach higher levels. Once you are ready, the law of attraction will guide you toward your destiny. Chapter 5. Success for Two. The story tells how a young wife faced difficulties when her husband was going through hard times. While he sank into pessimism and self-pity, she maintained a positive attitude and reminded him of the importance of success and hope. Despite the adversities, she did not let herself be dragged down by his negative attitude. Instead, she reminded him to stay strong and optimistic, pointing out that his mental attitude influenced his situation. She reminded him that he had the power to change his perspective and his financial reality. She encouraged him to visualize success and fortune, and he began to believe in her words. The wife asked him to focus on her and her message of success every hour of the day, and he did so for many days. He took a moment to center himself on her words of hope, remembering that he was a magnet for success. The story of Maria and her husband illustrates the transformative power of a positive attitude and support in a relationship. While the husband initially struggled with discouragement and self-pity, Maria's constant mental and emotional encouragement helped him regain his confidence and achieve success through her positive approach and encouraging words. Maria helped her husband reduce his own power and adopt a success mindset. She became his source of support and guidance, and together they achieved what the world considers great financial success. The story also offers valuable advice for other couples. Instead of giving in to discouragement or self-pity, Maria showed how mutual support and a positive attitude can be catalysts for change and growth. Her example demonstrates how love and trust can elevate both partners to new heights. By sharing this story, inspiration is offered to other couples who may face similar challenges, showing that even in difficult times, the power of love and faith in each other's potential can be powerful drivers towards success and happiness. The key to success lies in mutual agreement. When both are in agreement, things are done smoothly. The believing wife has great power to positively influence her husband. Her faith transforms fear into courage, sadness into joy, and inertia into positive energy. The union between husband and wife is crucial. Together, they overcome obstacles that would be difficult individually. Differences and arguments between the couple can lead to failure, if not overcome. The lack of a common purpose can be fatal, both for the marriage and for the world in general. Truly, strength lies in unity. Every human achievement is magnified with collaboration between man and woman. Marriage is a school where teamwork is learned for the common good. Sometimes cooperation is not easy, and in those moments, discretion and patience are key. The invisible bonds of love sustain the relationship, allowing truths to be transmitted, even in silence. Overcoming differences strengthens these bonds. Without them, the relationship crumbles. It is important to work together, even if your true partner has not yet appeared. Rushing to find them can lead to disappointment. It is better to move forward with firm steps, developing personally before seeking the ideal partner. Personal achievement is more valuable than any romance. Chapter 6. From Union to Solidarity. Organizing your life in a less stressful way is key, and I know you have the ability to achieve this. Continue exploring and applying new thinking. Also, reserve daily time to relax and enjoy, especially with your children in nature. Going to the forest and playing with them is essential for your mental and emotional well-being. Take your new thinking books with you and take time to read, rest, and play on the floor with your children. Organize regular picnics, not allowing anything to interrupt them. This habit will fill you with strength, happiness, and inspiration, helping you solve your problems with determination. Stay committed and persevere, even if your husband doesn't fully understand your actions. The daily picnic is your way of maintaining joy in your life and resolving everyday challenges. Over time, you will see how your husband synchronizes with you and gradually improves. It is important to understand that you cannot replace your husband, nor should you try. Work alongside him to create a successful life. Persist in your path, as it is the way to happiness and growth. Take the time to study agriculture with your children, providing them with valuable education. Following this educational philosophy may also delay the children's entry into school until they are 10 or 12 years old, allowing them to learn and grow at their own pace. To avoid fights and tension in marriage, it is important to consider different approaches instead of reacting impulsively to your wife's anger. It is helpful to remember effective communication strategies. For example, in situations of confrontation, a useful technique is the kidnapping cure, a tactic explained in the book How to Train Your Children and Parents. This involves retreating to a quiet space until emotions calm down. Although you cannot force your wife to follow this method, you can do it on your own, which may positively influence her. Remember, fueling arguments with provocative comments only worsens the situation. In fact, any fight requires the participation of both parties, so stopping it is in the hands of anyone. Drawing inspiration from positive examples, such as the calm agreement between one's parents, can be a valuable guide for resolving conflicts. Prioritizing the well-being of children over marital disputes is fundamental. Working together in child-rearing can unite the family and dissipate differences. Additionally, exploring alternative conflict resolution methods, like the thought cure, can promote long-term harmony in the home. In summary, the key is patience, empathy, and mutual commitment. When it comes to defending your rights, discussions can remain endless. However, constantly insisting on exact justice only prolongs conflicts. Harmony based on love can dissipate disputes and overcome disagreements. It's important to occasionally yield in favor of the well-being of the relationship. Fighting for your rights daily can become a bad habit. It's essential to learn to relax and allow the other person space. By freeing yourself from the need to defend all your rights, you will discover greater peace while still retaining your essential rights, such as the right to be happy and light. Constant confrontation over everyday rights does not justify the habit of fighting. Sometimes, relinquishing certain rights can foster reciprocity and peace. True defense of your rights does not always require words. Calm and kindness can be your best allies, As for your letter, it seems you are facing a challenge due to excess free time. Considering the possibility of having children might bring you a meaningful purpose in life. Avoiding this responsibility could lead to a sense of emptiness and frustration later on. It's important to find a purpose that fills you with meaning and steers you away from negative thoughts. Building a family can be a valuable option, but the decision must be made between you and your husband. By agreeing on a shared goal, such as starting a family, a path towards success and personal fulfillment is guaranteed. Building a family based on love and harmony is one of the best contributions a couple can make to the world. It doesn't have to be a large family, but one where love is the main pillar. The example of Maria Jose and Jesus shows how such a family can positively impact society. However, if having children is not an option, there are other meaningful ways to find purpose. Adoption, working in social institutions, or engaging in community projects are some alternatives that can be equally fulfilling. The key is to find a purpose that both you and your husband share and work together on it. Submitting to and dedicating yourself to a noble purpose is the key to happiness and personal growth. Love and goodwill can overcome the trivialities of daily life, but they can only be cultivated through daily actions that contribute to a greater purpose. In your case, it seems you are avoiding important responsibilities and need to wake up and commit to meaningful work. Your relatives may serve as a reminder of the importance of acting with purpose and dedication rather than evading responsibilities. Addressing SAS, it's important to remember that many women have sacrificed much for their families, but true value lies in doing so with love and commitment. Resisting your family's actions will only lead to resentment. Remember, all things can work together for good if the family unites and works toward a common goal. What you plan to do may be right and best for all, but the approach you are taking is neither constructive nor beneficial for you, your husband, or your children. I suggest you explore my book, Solar Plexus, for guidance. Read 1 or 2 chapters daily for the next 6 months to absorb its spirit and shine with it. Once you have absorbed that spirit, talk to your husband and other family members about your plans. Seek their support and understanding, and make sure to offer them your support in their own projects. Together, you can work toward common goals and strengthen family bonds. The things you've mentioned in your letter are not mistakes, but opportunities for growth and family unity. Embrace the spirit of love and work in harmony with them. The pioneering life can be exhausting, but with our new thinking we can face any challenge with peace and prosperity. I encourage you to stay firm in your determination and move forward with confidence. May peace and prosperity be with you and your wonderful family. All of you are working hard toward noble goals, and your desire to help them is commendable. Remember, even in times of tension, we must forgive each other and allow love to guide our actions for the benefit of all. Chapter 7. How to Deal with Refractory Husbands. I understand your situation and the difficult decision you are facing. If I were in your shoes, I would undoubtedly take steps to resume my music career. It seems you are stuck in a life that does not fully satisfy you, and it is understandable that you wish to reclaim your passion and fulfill your dreams. It is important to express your desires clearly and with determination to your husband. Explain that you are determined to resume your music career while continuing to be a good wife to him. He is likely to react with resistance at first, but stay firm in your decision and show through your actions that you are committed to both your happiness and your relationship. Remember to approach this situation with love and kindness toward your husband. If you maintain a positive and firm attitude, he is likely to eventually adapt and find joy in your success. By following your heart and acting with determination, you will find inner peace, and the world will begin to align to support you on your path. No one can live a full life if they restrict their energies and passions. It's important to prioritize your authenticity and emotional well-being, even if it means making difficult decisions in your relationship. Trust your instinct and move forward with courage toward your goals and dreams. It is crucial to seek guidance from your own spirit to find the right path to follow. Stay calm and receptive until you receive the proper guidance. Once you are clear on the path to take, act with determination and without hesitation. Don't stop to question whether you made the right decision. What matters is how you carry out your actions. Inconstancy and doubt can hinder your process in any direction you choose. Reflect, trust in divine guidance, and move forward with and in God, believing that divine intervention will bring peace and harmony. Your elevated thoughts can influence your husband and your surroundings. Every positive thought you have will leave a mark on him and others. Find your connection with divine power, love, and wisdom to transform your world. If you are currently unable to achieve what you want, commit yourself fully to what you can do. Learn to appreciate what you have and make the most of your current situation. As for being on the right path, only you can determine that. Allow the spirit of love to guide you. And remember, unity within the couple strengthens the marriage. Working together toward a common goal is key to marital harmony. If necessary, adapt your approach to accompany your husband on his journey. Cooperation and mutual understanding are key. Trust that by working together, all things will align for good. This advice is valuable for any situation that generates discord in a relationship. Sometimes, a review and reorganization of the relationship are necessary to establish new norms and live according to them. Remember that men often yield, so do not fear expressing your needs and desires. However, it is important to communicate with clarity and respect to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Chapter 8. When your husband disagrees. It's absurd that your husband believes your faith in new thought is a sign of a lack of love. It would be like expecting you to stop basic physiological functions, such as breathing or digestion, to prove your love for him. You must calmly explain to him that your beliefs are fundamental to your being, and you cannot change them to meet his expectations. It's important to help him understand that you respect his right to think and act according to his own convictions, and expect the same from him toward you. Let him know that your love for him will deepen further if he can be more tolerant of your beliefs and allow you to be yourself in all aspects, including your thoughts and actions. Ensure that you won't try to impose your ideas and that you expect the same from him. After establishing this position calmly and firmly, move forward with confidence and love. Trust that over time, both of you will come to understand and respect each other's views. This is the essence of marriage, the union of two lives and the convergence of two different ways of thinking. Don't let your husband's negative comments affect you in front of the children. If you feel tension about the topic, don't hesitate to withdraw from the situation temporarily to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Trust that calm will return, and you will find common ground to dialogue and resolve your differences in a more constructive way. It's important to prioritize harmony in the relationship and put aside tensions before they escalate. Trust in the spirit of love operating in both of you to find peaceful solutions. You don't need to hide your interest in new thought or your participation in conferences about it. Simply integrate it naturally into your daily life and be discreet. Complete honesty is fundamental in a marital relationship. It's not necessary to report every detail of your actions, but it's important not to create false impressions about the general direction of your life. Stay kind and persevere in your faith. Take moments to find inner peace and connect with yourself. Trust that the spirit of love within you can transform all things into beautiful results. Chapter 9. How to live with a rude partner. Emerson taught us that the power of others to affect us depends on our own perspective towards their attitudes. If you don't tune into their mentality, their influence will be minimal. Instead of trying to change others, accept their attitudes and focus on maintaining your own. Whitman shared how unrequited love was his inspiration for writing. In the same way, in our relationships, giving the best of ourselves may not always result in reciprocity, but it enriches us in other ways. By freeing yourself from the desire to change those around you and maintaining a positive attitude, you will find that things become more manageable. Your inner world is your realm, and you have the power to govern it. Focus on the positive qualities of others, and you will see a change in yourself, if not in others. Avoid being hypnotized by the negative attitudes of those around you. Instead, emphasize the good and observe how it flourishes. As mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, staying disciplined and keeping the senses free from attraction and aversion leads to inner peace. What concerns you is a challenge for all human beings, although circumstances may vary. For example, your neighbor may be obsessed with money, leading her to act in ways that you find dishonorable. In turn, you feel affected by her behavior and develop aversion toward her, triggering a series of negative emotions. The conflict between you arises from attachment to your own perspectives, which clouds your judgment and affects your reasoning. The solution lies in cultivating inner discipline by freeing the senses from attraction and aversion and allowing the inner self to govern actions. In this way, peace can be found, and love can flow through you. It is possible to discipline thoughts and emotions if one desires, with determination. The only obstacle is yourself, and the choice to change is yours. Chapter 10. A woman whose husband gets on her nerves. It is important that you practice new thought and follow your own spiritual guidance. Reflect on what drains your life energy and determine how to adjust things to regain strength and happiness in your life. If necessary, set boundaries with your husband and communicate your needs and desires clearly. Make sure to let your husband know that he must respect your desire to read new thought literature and that you will not allow interference in this. Explain how new thought brings you joy and contributes to your well-being. Help him understand that you are an individual with your own mind and that you are capable of making decisions about your life. If you confront your husband and stand firm in your decisions, you are likely to have no further issues. Recognize his individuality and allow him to express himself, but stay firm in your own decisions and needs. Additionally, seek social activities that bring you fun and pleasure, such as attending parties, participating in church or new thought social meetings, or joining a women's club. Social contact is important to avoid feeling stagnant. Remember that the first or second year of marriage can be difficult due to the necessary adjustments. However, if both of you care for each other and work together, you will eventually find your balance. It's important that you feel empowered and capable of making decisions about your own financial life within the marriage. Insisting that your husband provide you with an allowance for your personal use is a way of ensuring autonomy and control over your finances. You should communicate your financial expectations and needs clearly before marriage, and establish a solid financial agreement that provides you with an allowance for your personal expenses. It is essential that you feel valued and respected in your marriage, and this includes having control over your own money. You should not settle for less than what you deserve and need to maintain financial independence within the marriage. Stay determined and ensure that any financial agreement you establish provides you with the freedom and control you need to live a full and satisfying life. Chapter 11. Making love a habit of thought. Your approach to love is truly inspiring. To accept love as the fundamental force of life and actively decide to love despite circumstances is an act of great power and determination. Sometimes love can be difficult, especially when we face challenges or people who are hard to love. But your approach of choosing to love consciously, even when your emotions don't immediately support it, is a valuable strategy. By practicing the choice to love, you are training your mind and heart to respond with love in all situations. By doing so, you are cultivating a thought habit that will eventually root in your subconscious, allowing you to respond with love automatically and naturally. It is true that success doesn't come easily and often requires effort and determination. But when we pursue our goals with passion and commitment, we can overcome any obstacle and reach our highest goals. Your message is a powerful reminder that love is an active choice, and we can cultivate and practice it in all areas of our lives. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and experience with us. Dr. Orison S. Marden offers a fascinating perspective on love as a preservative of youth. His idea that keeping the mind immersed in love and positive, uplifting feelings can keep the body fresh and vigorous is deeply inspiring. The comparison between the ancient method of massaging the body with sheep tallow and the modern approach of massaging the mind with thoughts of love, beauty, and joy is revealing. It suggests that true youth and vitality come from keeping the mind active and enriched with exciting and varied experiences. The variety of interests and mental occupations also stands out as a crucial element for maintaining youth. Dr. Marden points out that monotony and a lack of mental occupation can speed up the aging process, whereas having a broad range of interests and activities can preserve youth and vitality. The examples of figures like Helen Terry and Sarah Bernhardt, who attribute their youth to action, changing thoughts and scenarios, and mental occupation, emphasize the importance of keeping the mind active and engaged. Furthermore, the contrast between farmers who spend much time outdoors and office workers highlights the importance of environment and lifestyle in longevity and health. It is a reminder that physical and mental activity, as well as a healthy environment, are fundamental to maintaining youth and vitality throughout the years. Chapter 12. The Awareness of a Married Woman. The advice you give to your friend shows a deep and respectful understanding of different religious perspectives. You emphasize the importance of mutual understanding and goodwill in a relationship where religious beliefs differ. Your approach of showing empathy toward your partner's faith while maintaining your own convictions is admirable. By acknowledging that religious beliefs are often influenced by education and awareness, you offer a nuanced view of how people come to adopt their beliefs. In addition to your call for flexibility and respect for individual spiritual growth, you resonate with the idea that religion should be a tool for growth and connection with the divine rather than a barrier limiting spiritual exploration. The analogy you draw with outdated rules in certain religious denominations, such as prohibiting certain forms of entertainment or expression, underscores the need for religious institutions to evolve with the times and adapt to the changing needs and perspectives of their congregants. Your reflections on marriage and the decisions it entails are filled with important and insightful considerations. You recognize the traditional dynamic in which, historically, women left their homes to join their husbands, especially when he has business responsibilities. However, you also emphasize the importance of approaching this transition from a mindset of love and conscious choice, rather than viewing it as a sacrifice that must be rewarded. Your question about whether a woman loves enough to leave behind her family and join her husband, and whether she can do so without feeling resentment or regret, is fundamental. It highlights the need to be at peace with oneself and with God concerning these decisions. Your words show a profound understanding of the importance of authenticity and integrity in marriage. Furthermore, your consideration of the possibility of educating children in faith, regardless of religious affiliation, demonstrates an understanding of the importance of shared values in raising children and family life. Finally, your mention of new thought and the need to move beyond outdated ideas of separation and division is a reminder of the importance of adapting and evolving with the times, even in the context of marriage and family life in general. Your reflections offer a balanced and compassionate perspective on the decisions people face when entering marriage, emphasizing the importance of love, authenticity, and thoughtful reflection in making important decisions. Your words convey a deep understanding of the complexities of marriage and partnership, as well as the importance of maintaining an open and compassionate mindset in the face of others' unpleasant attitudes. The ability to forgive and overcome the contempt of those who criticize your decisions is a key aspect of emotional and spiritual maturity. Recognizing that these attitudes may arise and being prepared to face them with compassion and serenity is a sign of inner strength. Moreover, your reflection on the importance of living, loving, and worshipping in the Spirit, beyond religious differences or the opinions of others, is a powerful reminder of the need to focus on what truly matters in life: love, harmony, and spiritual connection. It is also valuable to recognize that the responsibility for creating harmony in the home lies with both partners, and each has the power to contribute positively to the relationship, regardless of external circumstances. Chapter 13, When You Feel Misunderstood. Your words convey a deep understanding of human nature and the dynamics of interpersonal relationships. It is clear that you have thought deeply about the subject and have come to an enlightening perspective on how to address bitterness and resentment in life. The idea that bitterness stems from focusing on the selfish point of view and lack of skill can resonate with many, as it is common for those who feel hurt or aggrieved by others to develop a defensive and resentful attitude. Your personal experience of maintaining a positive attitude and radiating kindness despite others' unkind actions is inspiring. It is a powerful reminder that we always have the choice of how we respond to the difficulties and challenges of life, and that kindness and compassion can transform even the most difficult situations. Additionally, you're called to remember that all humans have the innate drive to express kindness and love in their entirety, even though it may sometimes be obscured by bitterness and negativity, is an important reminder of the shared humanity that connects all people beyond our superficial differences. Your message resonates with a profound truth about personal responsibility and the universal law of attraction. It serves as a powerful reminder that our attitudes and perceptions can influence our experiences and relationships with the world around us. By recognizing that we are responsible for our own life experiences, we can empower ourselves to change our perspective and cultivate a loving and compassionate attitude toward others. Instead of holding on to bitterness and anger, we can choose to see the good in every human being and allow our compassionate response to dissolve any resentment we may feel. This approach allows us to grow in wisdom and knowledge, and helps us shine with the brilliance of our soul. It is a call to action, to cultivate kindness and compassion in our daily interactions, knowing that these qualities are what truly attract the things we desire in life. Chapter 14. How to get rid of jealousy. This letter offers direct and thoughtful advice on how to handle jealousy and concerns in a marital relationship. Its main message is clear. The wife should focus on her own life and allow her husband to maintain his personal relationships without interference. The writer urges the wife to trust in her husband's affection and not to be consumed by jealousy toward the older woman. It advises the wife to focus on her own affairs and let her husband handle his relationship with this friend on his own. Additionally, it highlights the importance of accepting this woman as a maternal figure for her husband and treating her with kindness. The final advice to obtain the Solar Plexus book suggests a resource to help the wife find the clarity and inner peace needed to address her concerns. In general, the letter emphasizes the importance of trust, acceptance, and self-love in marital relationships. The first letter addresses a negative attitude toward life in general, urging the person to use the Solar Plexus book to adjust their perspective. The importance of consistently practicing the teachings of the book to master problem-solving is emphasized. The power of infusing love into the current environment to overcome difficulties is also highlighted. The second letter addresses the jealousy a person feels toward their own relatives, especially toward their sister. It suggests that the root of the problems is jealousy and encourages the person to purge their heart of negative and unworthy emotions. The Solar Plexus book is recommended as a tool to overcome these feelings and find healing. The person is encouraged to immerse themselves in the spirit of the book and deny negative thoughts while affirming the love and good intentions of their sister. The letter urges the person to acquire and live intensely the small recommended book, diving into its teachings to appreciate and celebrate the good things in life and in oneself. It is also suggested to obtain the author's book of experiences for more guidance on how to overcome animosities. The person is advised to stop trying to control their sister's external actions and respect her decisions, even if it means keeping some distance. The importance of demonstrating love and sympathy to bring back the same feelings is emphasized. The person is encouraged to take responsibility for their own destiny and commit to living in love, overcoming jealousy and pettiness that may arise in interpersonal relationships. Chapter 15. Finances in the home. It is common to wonder if it is acceptable for a woman to buy things she cannot afford and cause worry in her husband, or if she should trust that everything will work out. It is essential to live within your means to maintain peace of mind. It is unfair to put your husband in debt and expect luck to solve your financial problems. Maintaining tranquility and avoiding spending more than you have is crucial. Cheik said that to truly be rich, you must control your desires, which is the majority of wealth. The avalanche of desires prevents us from thinking clearly, as Ralph Waldo Emerson noted. It is crucial to free oneself from unnecessary desires and focus on true thinking. Saving money is essential to earning it. Those who learn to save attract more money. By reducing unnecessary desires, an upward flow of money can be experienced. Your husband's worried look might be an act, and he may actually afford what you desire but chooses not to. If that is the case, it is important to have an honest conversation about money and establish a fair agreement. Every wife should have an allowance for her comfort, which is fair and necessary to maintain peace in the home. Men should grant this allowance as they would to an employee. The wise woman of today will seek and negotiate a fair deal with wit, faith, and love for the new thought. If your husband is not transparent with his income, consider obtaining a credit report about his financial situation. Then, kindly talk to him and ask for an allowance, even if it's small. Encourage him to try it for a month or two, asking with grace and courtesy. Adjust your approach when dealing with a husband and a world as they are, not as they should be. Carefully influence his sense of justice, and you will see that his pocket becomes more manageable. Once you've tried the allowance system, it will depend on you. If you manage your resources carefully, your husband will recognize its effectiveness and feel proud of your management skills. Your ability to manage and your faith in the system will be reflected in him, and more money will flow to both of you. It may seem like an old-fashioned way of thinking, but it is effective and correct. Eve feeds first, and then Adam, who may come to think that it was his own idea. If you are wiser, let him think so. Both are needed to discover and demonstrate the truth. The woman seduces the man to desire to please her by entertaining with ideas and charm. If suffragists succeed in England, it will be thanks to the women who captivate and persuade more than to those who demand loudly. The final step is to conquer men, so they want to give women what they desire. Chapter 16. Husbands, Wives, and Business. According to tradition, a woman was created to assist man. God saw that Adam was incomplete and needed help to exercise dominion over nature. So, he created the woman to soften his heart and stimulate his mind, allowing both to grow and prosper together. The primary purpose of man is to deal with worldly matters and engage in businesses that benefit the world and provide sustenance. The primary task of the wife is to provide the love and inspiration the man needs to fulfill his role in the world. A woman's love softens and revitalizes the man's heart, motivating him to give his best in his work. Together, they work to build a world where both men and women can thrive. While there are exceptions in gender roles, the divine order remains the same. Both must recognize their responsibility in creating a better world. Both man and woman must dedicate themselves to the affairs of man, which are God's affairs. A man who hides his business affairs from his wife is closing off a vital source of inspiration and progress in business, as long as she is not naive. The woman who does not recognize the man's work as the primary priority in both their lives is sowing discord at the root of their happiness and causing problems in his business. This leads to disillusionment and sadness, worse than starting with too many obstacles in their way. Business is business, says the man. Love and attention, says the woman. Love is everything, they wisely affirm, finding and complementing each other. The letter addressed to A explores the husband's perspective and how her past spending may affect his current perception. The wife must be an active and understanding collaborator in her husband's affairs, providing him with love, support, and constant advice. Both need to review their roles and attitudes to strengthen their relationship and contribute to mutual success. Chapter 17. Marriage as a business partnership. Before marriage, it is crucial to have a clear understanding of each other's goals and ideals. Showing only the best of oneself before marriage may lead to unpleasant surprises afterward. Full honesty before marriage is key to avoiding future conflicts. Marriage has two aspects, love and the financial dimension. Love is nourished by small attentions and appreciation, but financial stability is also fundamental. It is important to establish a fair agreement in terms of economic partnership to ensure a strong marriage. Love weakens if there is economic inequality. The husband should support his wife at home, and she should support him in his business affairs with complete honesty in both aspects. However, neither should burden the other with unnecessary worries, only sharing what is essential to understand the situation. Each partner should receive a fair salary and manage their business affairs according to an agreed plan. Responsibilities must be clear, avoiding interference in each other's work. At home, the husband leads in business matters, and the wife leads in domestic and educational affairs. He cooperates at home and follows her directions in business. Chapter 18. When you're unsatisfied with your environment. Don't deceive yourself into thinking you're obligated to do something. You have a choice in everything you do. Don't blame others for your circumstances. It all comes down to your personal choice. Evaluate each situation and choose correctly at every step. The point of choice within you is where you exercise your free will. Assess yourself and choose the right thing at every moment. That's great success. Your power of choice is infinite and divine. Choose the right path even in the most difficult circumstances, and you will exercise your infinite power. The right choice always involves seeking the highest and allowing the Spirit to act, even if that means doing nothing. Trust your ability to choose wisely and follow the path to infinite peace and freedom. Rest in the certainty that God is within you, guiding your thoughts, choices, and actions. Recognize that you are an executor of the unique Spirit whose role is to choose what is right in all things, always opting for the highest. If you focus too much on the words and actions of others, you distract yourself from your true self and may make wrong decisions. Let your being unite with the Spirit, and all your decisions will be correct, leading you to pleasant and peaceful paths. Listen to the inner voice that specifically guides you on what to do. Discontent can be a driver for progress, but it's important to move forward with clarity toward your goals. Dedicate time to silence and prayer daily. asking the Spirit to guide you and clarify your path. Trust that you will receive answers and continue calling on the Spirit until you receive them. Remember that you are in the right place and keep your focus on improving your work and preparing for new opportunities. Dedicate time to study, to expand your knowledge, and direct your energies toward your goals. This is the path to growth and personal fulfillment. A woman I met decided to immerse herself in the complex Greek history, despite understanding only half of what she read. She persisted, dedicating an hour a day for a year. In the end, she underwent a deep transformation, gaining control over her abilities and activities, and rejuvenated physically and mentally. After 2 or 3 years, she decided to reread the Greek stories and immersed herself in them again. She read them for a third time and became an authority on the subject, incorporating a new, enriching interest into her life and rediscovering her inner childhood. This experience permanently expanded and enriched her life, proving that growth is achieved through consistent effort. As Bogi said, attention is essential in this process, and cultivating it with care leads to constant growth. Chapter 19. When you don't get along with your relatives and in-laws, it seems you're dealing with family conflicts with your husband's in-laws. You might feel jealousy and resentment toward them, which causes arguments and tensions in your relationship. It is important to reflect on how you handle these situations and consider how your actions may influence family dynamics. Whenever you argue with them, your husband is likely to defend them, which may make you feel less valued. However, it's crucial to remember that in these arguments, a man often defends the one he perceives as vulnerable. I would recommend avoiding holding grudges or making negative comments about your in-laws. Try to feel empathy and affection toward them and practice forgiveness for their mistakes. This can help improve the relationship and foster a more positive interaction between you. You might have had financial conflicts with your sisters-in-law in the past, which could be influencing your current situation. Whenever you had money, you helped them, but now that the situation has reversed, you feel resentment toward them. It's important to recognize that our past actions can influence our present relationships. You have the option to move forward with your husband and his family, working on the relationship and striving to be an understanding and kind companion. Or you can choose to distance yourself if you believe that's best for you. However, remember that being a strong woman means facing challenges and working to resolve them. It's essential to be honest with yourself and reflect on your role in the situation. Remember, no one can judge you fairly, except your own sense of right and wrong. Consider how you can contribute positively to the situation and work on improving your relationship with your in-laws. It seems like you're doing your best to maintain your pride in this situation. However, arrogance leads to downfall. It's time to accept the circumstances humbly and fall with grace. You must be sincere with yourself and others, expressing love and kindness. Resignation and renunciation are key to finding peace, which is essential for true prosperity and happiness. Adapting to the conditions and learning from them is crucial. Currently, your attitude is off-putting because you're trying to please your pride without considering others. It's vital to adapt to the conditions and maintain a loving attitude to bring kindness and service. You must be patient and learn to be a center of positive attraction. Recognizing your own faults and being kind, even when you dislike the situation, is essential to make things easier for those you love. Regarding the relationship with your mother-in-law, you should be kind and respectful, even if you don't get along with her. You must overlook her flaws and focus on her positive aspects. Remember, everyone has virtues and they should be appreciated. Your duty is to magnify the good in every human being, even in your mother-in-law. Forgive her and forget her mistakes for the sake of your husband and family harmony. You've tried to make her adapt, but now it's time to change tactics. Let her be as she is, and adapt yourself. Keep your kindness and sympathy, but don't visit your mother-in-law too often to avoid conflicts. It's important to earn her respect and friendship, which will strengthen your relationship with your husband. Ask for guidance from the Spirit and be discreet in expressing your opinions at home. Regarding gifts, it's valid to please her, but don't let resentments ruin the family harmony. Live love and listen to your inner voice. Regarding AF, you must understand that in your father's house, you have no rights beyond the respect and harmony you can bring. You shouldn't demand anything and should accept your father and stepmother's decisions with love and understanding. Remember that a grandmother has no rights in her children's home, only the privilege of bringing joy to the family. In summary, it seems your problems stem from your insistence on following the law of the material mind rather than the spiritual law of love. Love involves allowing others to have their own way and being willing to make peace. You should strive to harmonize with your relatives by making the first moves and asking for forgiveness for your harsh actions. If I were you, I would return everything my father would want to keep, prioritizing love and harmony above material things. Regarding EJB, who has conflicts with his daughter-in-law, it is crucial that he release any resentment and concern about the situation. He must accept his daughter-in-law as she is and visualize her with her best qualities. All our flaws come from ignorance, but the true nature of each person is good. You should think of your daughter-in-law as you wish her to be, not as she appears to be at this moment. Practice positive affirmations before sleeping, sending your best will to both of them. Even if you have opposing feelings, ask for guidance from your spirit and allow the universal life to express itself through you to find the right solution. Chapter 20. How to transmute family ridicule. I understand that practicing centering in silence has not been feasible for you due to interruptions and ridicule from your peers. You've chosen to practice in bed as an alternative. However, it's important to consider that there are always 3 ways to face circumstances: being influenced by them, finding ways to change them, or adapting to them. The author of the previous letter chose to adapt to the circumstances, even though they don't get as many benefits as they might try to change them. Living under these conditions may limit personal growth. I know the case of a woman in a similar situation, but even more difficult, as her husband and children openly mocked her beliefs, which affected her deeply. Despite her attempts to keep her practices secret, she was always discovered and ridiculed, which filled her with shame. She faced the difficult decision of tolerating the mockery or giving up her beliefs. However, giving up was not an option for her, as she was deeply committed to her beliefs. So she chose to endure the mockery as a way to maintain her integrity, despite the pain it caused her. This example shows that sometimes we must face difficult situations with courage and determination, even if it means facing ridicule and mockery from others. The story you share is inspiring and shows how a person can transform herself and her environment by acting from a place of love and understanding. By adopting an attitude of non-resistance to evil and seeking the good, this woman found freedom and joy amid mockery and ridicule. By laughing at herself along with others, she managed to change the dynamic and win the respect and sympathy of those around her. This story teaches us that love and compassion can powerfully influence others and lead to positive changes in relationships and the community in general. Anyone, as they are, and all readers, can follow this example and transform their life and surroundings through actions based on love and understanding. Chapter 21. How to be liked and how to express yourself. It's understandable that you feel frustrated for not having experienced romantic love until now. However, there are steps you can take to open yourself up to new possibilities and attract the interest of the right men. First, it's important to allow yourself to be more open and communicative. Although it might be difficult at first, try expressing your thoughts and desires clearly and openly. Start with small gestures of kindness and show genuine interest in the people around you. Spend time imagining social situations where you interact with men you're interested in, visualizing yourself feeling comfortable and natural in those situations. Remember, confidence is built over time, so be patient with yourself as you open yourself up to new experiences. In addition, work on your self-esteem and value yourself. Recognize your own qualities and what you bring to a relationship. Cultivate positive thoughts about yourself and trust that you deserve love and happiness. Remember, love can come at any time and in various forms, so keep an open mind and continue seeking opportunities to connect with people who share your interests and values. I understand that you are looking for ways to open up more and connect with others on a deeper level. It's important to begin by expressing your thoughts and feelings authentically, regardless of whether others understand you. By doing so, you'll show your true essence and give those around you the opportunity to truly know you and feel attracted to you. You may have felt a bit isolated due to your reserved lifestyle, but it's time to awaken and be yourself in all aspects of your life, even in your office environment. This doesn't mean you have to be extroverted all the time, but it does involve showing a smile when you feel like it, expressing your thoughts clearly and being genuine with those around you. I suggest looking for opportunities to socialize more. You could attend church or join a Bible class to meet new people and establish meaningful friendships. Participate in social events such as conferences, parties, or lunches where you can interact with different people and expand your social circle. Always remember to express yourself with consideration and kindness toward others, regardless of their age or gender. It's important to cultivate genuine relationships based on mutual interest and kindness. In addition, remember that to have friends, you must be a friend. Practice active listening and show interest in others' lives. Don't worry about trying to be interesting, just be yourself and show your authenticity. Over time, it will become easier to express your own interests and form deeper connections with others. Chapter 22. Earning money and spending it. It is entirely possible for someone to accumulate wealth without harming others, at least not indirectly. The key lies in how the money is used, spending it wisely rather than squandering it. Spending involves using money on things of no value, while investing it involves allocating money to something that provides lasting satisfaction and benefits. For example, if I spend $1 on an excessive and unhealthy dinner, I don't gain any real benefit. But if I invest that $5 in a book that provides me with knowledge and inspiration, I am increasing my mental and spiritual wealth, which can lead to material gains in the long term. It's important to remember that the world rewards the work that needs to be done. If you strive to do quality work and contribute positively to the world around you, you will eventually be rewarded for it. However, if you expect to be rewarded before doing a good job, it is unlikely that you will achieve success. Additionally, cultivating positive feelings toward others is crucial. Envy, criticism, and other negative emotions can obstruct your ability to attract what you desire. Instead, practice goodwill toward everyone and maintain a positive attitude as you work toward your financial and personal goals. Goodwill is key to achieving your desires. If you cultivate it, it will be like igniting the energy that helps you achieve what you want. But if you fill yourself with envy, resentment, or guilt, it will extinguish this energy. So work with goodwill toward the world. It is important to manage your income. Always save something in your savings account for future opportunities. Manage your expenses carefully, prioritizing saving over luxuries. Even small amounts can add up over time. Look around and you will see that even those with fewer resources indulge in luxuries, which is wasteful. Sometimes those with lower incomes are more prone to this due to poor management. Wastefulness is using money on things that don't contribute to your goals. Follow the advice of Frank Andrew Fall, an economist at New York University, and organize your spending efficiently, using every penny wisely. Chapter 23. A man with urgent debts. To free yourself from debt, you must consider how you manage your finances. If you focus too much on doing things without thinking about the future, you could remain in debt. It's essential to break financial ties and pay off debts on time. However, you may be taking on more than you can handle. You must anticipate the unexpected, such as urgent repairs or medical emergencies. When building or starting a business, unforeseen circumstances always arise. Therefore, it is key to calculate a budget that covers at least 50% more than planned for these eventualities. Also, make sure to pay your bills on time to maintain good credit. Consider having a financial reserve for unexpected situations and opportunities. Keep accounts up to date and be precise in your business calculations. Avoid taking on excessive financial commitments and fulfill your payment promises. Use discounts wisely and build credit for future opportunities. If you are in financial trouble, sell assets or seek loans to pay off your debts on time. Establish a solid financial foundation before anything else in your community. Involve residents in common projects to improve the environment and attract more people. Beautify your community little by little, starting with an attractive civic center and expanding according to your possibilities. If you want to attract people to your area, you must create a beautiful and appealing space, a well-maintained meeting point with gardens, trees, and sidewalks, which can attract visitors. Establish community work days led by someone committed. Once you have a place you're proud of, people will naturally come. To finance this, you will need a spirit of meticulousness and cooperation among residents. Consider looking for investors interested in your vision. I would love to work on such a project, and I'm interested in your work. However, I'm concerned about the transportation to the site, and suggest exploring options such as building a community railway. Organizing and inspiring people to work together is essential. Many make the mistake of violating financial laws and then expect a miracle. Jesus taught us to fulfill our commitments, not rely on financial miracles. It's important to plan and work hard to achieve your goals. New thinking challenges financial norms by relying on luck or affirmations. A recent case involves a woman who took diamonds, hoping the other person would forgive her. Similarly, Emerson reprimanded Alcott for taking his potatoes, highlighting the importance of fulfilling commitments. By violating common financial laws, you challenge others' expectations and God's will. It's crucial to keep your word and resolve debts orderly. You should prioritize paying off small debts before large ones. I remember a similar situation where I faced debts, but I communicated with my creditors, who showed understanding. I paid off the small debts first, gradually freeing myself. It's essential not to guarantee debts without the resources to back them up. Chapter 24, the individual as a magnet. I prefer the word relate rather than attract, as it suggests that certain universal causes lead us to certain situations more than active management. Many people have related to different types of people, some unconsciously causing harm and leaving, while others stay and enjoy their virtuousness, blaming others for their problems. These latter individuals seek words that soften the idea that they attract their own conditions. Individualists often consider themselves related to their circumstances, denying their responsibility in them. They prefer to blame others rather than acknowledge the source of their problems. Some, like Job, refuse to face the truth and prefer to maintain their integrity at the expense of reality. However, there are those who choose to free themselves and others from unpleasant relationships. These individuals break conventions, offering freedom and opportunities for progress. In time, they recognize that these discussions were the best for all involved. Time and experience show the righteousness of these actions. Those trapped in a negative mindset lack solid evidence and cling to reason instead of facing the truth. The fact of liberating others does not exempt you before God for not liberating yourself. God works in us to free us, and thus also to free others. However, if you self-justify, you must understand that conditions are just pieces of the good principle with which you face new problems. Sitting and blaming others won't help. You must face your problems alone. Accept the first principle of new thinking in your heart and act from there. Soon you will feel free to act as the spirit inside you guides you. The problem is that you live too much in your reason. Only when you put everything on the altar and act from the principle of new thinking will you free yourself from limitations. Until God illuminates your heart, you won't see your true self. Until then, you will deceive yourself by thinking you are freeing others, but in reality, you are deceiving yourself, as a person never liberates another. Remember, you can only offer others an environment they can accept or reject. Let your light shine, and remember it shines best when you don't focus on the truth that the individual attracts all conditions to themselves. Wake up, Juliana, and take your dominion. You have dominion over your thoughts. Choose thoughts of truth. You cannot control others. Chapter 25. How to use your personal power store. I've always envied those who have a lively disposition, but I wonder if that vitality exhausts me. Should I control my emotional nature or let it flow to be brilliant and lively? Control your emotional nature at all costs. Your emotional self can be a great ally, but it can also be your worst enemy. Many problems arise when you allow emotions to control your consciousness and reason. Unpleasant reactions are the result of this emotional imbalance and energy wastage. Imagine your emotional self as the engine of a car. If it gets out of control, the car moves aimlessly and causes damage. Hysterical laughter reveals that emotions are taking over, depleting your personal energy and leading you to depression. The secret to having fun without negative reactions lies in controlling your emotional nature. You must keep your emotional power in balance, avoiding its depletion. Once you achieve this balance, you will be able to experience deeper levels of fun and joy without losing control. At first, it may seem necessary to suppress your emotions, but as you gain control, you will see that you can enjoy life fully, experiencing higher levels of fun and joy. Fun requires emotional energy, but it is crucial to conserve it for deeper enjoyment and to avoid excessive expressions. Do not suppress enjoyment, but control unnecessary expressions. Each emotion held in check leaves you with more energy to enjoy. By releasing less of your emotional power in loud laughter, you deepen your ability to savor joy. True joy resides deep within you. You must suppress superficiality to be aware of this real joy. Impulsivity and nervousness arise from emotional exhaustion when the emotional self takes control. If you spend your energy on unnecessary emotions, you won't have enough to enjoy fully. The cure for nervousness and impulsivity is learning to be calm, reducing waste, and allowing your reserves to fill up. There are two types of lively dispositions. One is the result of emotional exhaustion, and the other is an expression of full reserves. The first ends in tears or depression, while the second enjoys without being wasted. As your emotional reserves grow, your ability to laugh also increases. Loud laughter may reveal a lack of emotional depth, while a melodious and contagious laugh touches others. Melodious laughter, whether loud or soft, indicates genuine enjoyment and well-stocked emotional reserves. In contrast, shrill and nervous laughter, whether loud or soft, signals emotional exhaustion or a lack of true enjoyment. Smooth, conscious movements indicate full reserves, while abrupt ones signal exhaustion. It's crucial to reduce unnecessary laughter and movements in life. Emotion is the force of the soul that allows us to perform great and small feats. We can stop these unnecessary movements and increase our power by meditating for half an hour a day. With practice, our energy and wisdom deepen. The soul's power is love and wisdom, and it depends on how we manage our energy. If we conserve it for important uses, our wisdom and sense of humor deepen. Yes, the soul's strength is abundant, but building a dam takes time. Those who waste their emotion on trivial matters must spend much time repairing their dam, and those who squander their strength in impulsive acts will lack the necessary power. Self-control is key to well-being. Now is the time to use it. The world is full of opportunities that we must conserve for personal use. Do not let love, power, and wisdom flow too quickly or be wasted on reckless expressions. Use power wisely to carry out your great projects. You will find joy without the aftermath of depression. This is the highest paradise for the deepest soul, and the door is open to all. Vital energy is the energy of the soul, a combination of love, power, and wisdom. The body is a generator of this energy. Heaven and hell are states of the body. A body full of vital energy experiences heaven, while a body deprived of it lives in hell, resulting from a life of excess and vital energy waste. Chapter 26. Prenatal Impressions. Let's talk about how mothers can influence their children even before they are born. I received a letter from a friend in Central America who shares a personal experience that should make us reflect on the importance of having positive thoughts and deep devotion as future parents. My friend mentions that his wife used to be a devout Catholic, influenced by the dominant culture in her home. It was inevitable to have religious images, and he gave his wife a picture of the Virgin Mary with the child, which seemed to be an exact representation of their unborn child. Friends and family considered this a miracle and predicted that the child would become a saint. My friend explains that both he and the doctor have talked to his wife about the power of maternal imagination on offspring, but it was the first time they had seen it in action, and they were surprised. The child, Max, has gestures that match those of the child in the picture. This story raises the question of whether the environment influences human development, but it shows that it undoubtedly shapes the baby. The mother, with her devotion, invoked heaven to bless her son, and it seems that heaven created what she loved. I knew a whimsical woman who longed for her first child to have curly blonde hair and blue eyes, even though both she and her husband were dark-haired and had straight hair. Every day, she looked at a picture of a beautiful child and imagined him as her son. To her surprise, her baby was born with blue eyes and golden curls like a cherub. Some people, like her, Willard Wilcox, believe that prenatal conditions can influence a child's talent or beauty. However, there are also cases where depravity is attributed to prenatal influences, like in the case of G. Pomeroy, whose mother was obsessed with death and animal skins during pregnancy. G's mother spent hours watching her husband skin animals, and this influenced her son, who committed horrific acts from a young age. Although now he believes he could change, society still distrusts him. These extreme cases, whether good or bad, make us reflect on the power of prenatal environments in shaping a person's character. Perhaps the world lacks exceptional people because many mothers live monotonous, aspirationless lives, focused solely on the routine. Exceptional offspring often require great ideals, imagination, and devotion to higher purposes. Chapter 27. How to create the right environment for your child. Dr. Lyman Abbott recently made the following statement: "The first lesson that should be taught at home is obedience. The child must learn that obeying the law is the foundation of civilization." We tried to put up a fence at Ellis Island to keep out anarchists. We should put one in our nurseries. We must teach children about property and personal rights. Every child is born with an inclination to take what is not theirs. It's like a little thief. They haven't yet learned about property rights. If you put two babies on the floor and give one a rattle, the other baby will crawl towards the first to take it, if it can, and then laugh with joy while the other baby cries. At first glance, this seems related to the ancient doctrine of inherent depravity. However, if we dig a little deeper, we can find a different perspective. Humans have evolved over countless ages. From the perspectives of evolutionary and reincarnation theories, a baby born into the world is the result of accomplishments achieved in previous states of existence. During the 9 months leading up to birth, the soul undergoes the entire process of evolution, from being a tiny amoeba, passing through the various animal kingdoms, to reaching the level of primitive humanity. It seems that the wisdom accumulated and acquired over countless ages of evolution is recapitulated or reaffirmed in the subconscious plane during those 9 months prior to birth. Thus, the baby begins its life where the primitive human left off. Dr. Woods Hutchinson, in an article about noses, mentions that all babies are born with a flat nose, which is a trait generally associated with a lower level of intelligence. This suggests that it requires a long line of intelligent ancestors to develop a bridge in the nose. For example, Greek philosophers had prominent noses and a high level of intelligence, as did many other people who have left their mark on the world since then. Therefore, instead of viewing births as a descent from civilization to savagery, we could consider it as a starting point in the continuous evolution of the soul. For many of us, we might be at an intermediate point on that evolutionary path. Perhaps we need several more incarnations to develop the degree of inherent intelligence necessary to manifest with a prominent nose. Maybe Dr. Abbott is right, and the child is born an anarchist or wild. Probably if a child were isolated with savages, they wouldn't develop much in this life, even if they grew up with a Roman nose. But when a child with a flat nose enters the world, like William James Sidis, their environment awakens all their hidden intelligence until, at the age of 11, they express scholarly theses on the fourth dimension. It is true that babies grab everything they can, without regard for the rights of others. If their parents do the same, the child will grow up without a sense of rights. This is why I believe that parents must first be educated, and then children. Every human being is a repository of hidden intelligence, and it is the environment that brings this latent intelligence to consciousness, where it can be recognized and used. The late Dr. Bernardo of London played a decisive role in sending thousands of very young children, children of some of the worst criminals and defectives from the slums of London, to Canada. In nearly every case, these children became intelligent and useful individuals. Only a very small proportion of them failed to become successful people. My personal opinion is that the environment was to blame in all the cases where the child was lost. There wasn't enough love and wisdom in the environment to bring the child's hidden intelligence to the surface. I sincerely believe that the capacity for good, growth, and intelligence is hidden in every human being who comes into this world. I believe that 10,000 children born in the worst conditions to the worst parents could be placed in an environment like the one Professor Boris Sidis and his wife provided for their son, and each child would become an intelligent, moral, and useful citizen, each according to their unique nature. I don't believe anyone has an evil nature. The phrenologists say we have 42 faculties, and I say that each of those faculties is good and positive if the child is provided with an appropriate environment. The faculties will develop and coordinate for the benefit of the individual and the world. William James Sidis is far from being wild, but he has surpassed it in 11 years. Professor Sidis says it's due to the environment he provided, which stimulates his intelligence. I believe him. That is why we are spreading schools and improving them. That is why we ask for playgrounds and social clubs. That is why Oklahoma has a law that requires children to go to school. even if the state has to pay the wages of children's mothers to make it possible. But the world is not fully awake to this matter. We are just beginning to open one eye to the possibilities of what can be done with the individual from cradle to vote. This reminds me that Ben Lindsay was the first to open that eye. Ben Lindsay of Denver, the great man who turned Mickey's misfortunes into opportunities. The lives of adults are more or less fixed, and if they face some difficulties, it doesn't affect me deeply. I too have faced some difficulties and have learned that material needs are less important than social and moral ones. This doesn't mean that I don't value the social and moral aspects of the YWCA, nursing homes, or other institutions, but it does mean that a little social and moral work done for children has much greater value than work done for adults. If it were up to me, I would allocate $1 to create a suitable social and moral environment for children, instead of 10 cents for the social needs of adults. This is simply my perspective on economics. Caring for the elderly practically nullifies the individual, while properly caring for a child means not only ensuring their happiness in childhood, but also ensuring they become a valuable and useful adult. It involves guiding the life of each child in such a way that they don't end up in an institution for the poor, criminals, or disabled, nor in any other institution. There is much talk about inheritance, but the inheritance a child receives in the first 10 years of life surpasses everything they could have received before, except in cases where the poor child was so damaged before birth that they arrived in the world with severe disabilities. After birth, the child inherits from everyone and everything that touches them, and in 10 years, they go from being a being similar to a monkey to one capable of intelligence and cooperation. They achieve this development as long as they have an appropriate environment to educate them in social, moral, emotional, mental, and physical aspects. Schools provide mental education, but have not addressed the most important part of every child's environment. And if the child's parents struggle to survive, it is impossible for them to provide the other half of the environment. Therefore, it is up to us, who have enough intelligence, love, and resources to support a shelter where children in poverty can access a suitable moral and social environment. If people understood the tremendous importance of this, childcare centers and public parks would be the most supported institutions in all cities. Chapter 28. How the father and mother can better educate the baby. The mother's way is not the right path for the child. The father's way is also not the right path for the child. It doesn't matter if the mother or the father follow their own way with the child, it will be the wrong path. The way of God is the right way, and God's way includes both the way of the mother and the way of the father. Many babies are confused by their parents, each trying to take the child in their own direction. The way of God is the right way. The only correct way is a combination of the mother's tenderness and the father's discipline. The mother and father must move from their opposite extremes toward the center and unite in the way of God to educate the child. If a man and a woman require raising a child properly, the father must support the mother and the mother must support the father. Neither the mother nor the father is wise enough to raise the child alone. Only God is wise enough. He uses all the wisdom of the mother, all the wisdom of the father, all the wisdom of humanity, and all the wisdom that will come in the eternal future. Why wouldn't the right way be a mixture of the mother's way and the father's way, since the child itself is a mixture of both? I said the tenderness of the mother and the discipline of the father. In many families, it is the father who represents tenderness and the mother who represents discipline. But it doesn't matter. This principle still holds true. It must be a combination of the mother's nature and the father's, supporting each other. If not, it is not the right way. The child needs the affection and gentleness of love. It also needs the firmness and rectitude of discipline, the gentleness in its own path in the non-essential, and firmness in discipline in the essential. Where the mother is in charge of the child, the father must support her in all discipline. Discipline shapes character, love and gentleness cultivate the emotional aspect of being. The word emotion means power that arises from within. Emotions are the strength of the soul. Character is like the effect of a stream. A man without character is a chaos of emotions, pleasures, and useless pains. Without emotions, the joys of being and doing, character becomes dry, inflexible, and practically useless. All work and no play make someone a boring person. All discipline and lack of love extinguish the spark of strength and genius. All character and no expression of emotions make someone rigid and stubborn, a useless toy of circumstances. Balancing the firmness and rectitude of discipline with the pleasure of play is the challenge in raising a child. It requires all the wisdom of both the father and the mother, guided by the wisdom of God himself, God in his fullness of ingenuity and wisdom. Chapter 19. How to respond to your child's questions. If you ever want to respond to a child's questions, you will have to stimulate their imagination. Fairies are, of course, thoughts. Many of them exist, some benevolent and others not so much. The thoughts of love, kindness, and help are the luminous fairies that fill us with joy, while the malicious and petty thoughts are dark and heavy, weighing like lead on our hearts. Of course, it is very likely that at some point we all store a state of lucidity that allows us to see the fairies of thoughts. As for death, it is the transition of the human worm from the cocoon to the butterfly state. Although no one can prove it, we hope it is so. And anything that is desired or imaginable is possible because desire is a prophecy of its own realization. Regarding the origin of our being, it is another case similar to the worm and the butterfly. When we are ready, we emerge from the cocoon and unfold our wings. Regarding religious education, I think it's wonderful to grow up in the church, as long as one overcomes their limitations later. I would not take away religious education from a child unless I could offer something similar and better in its place. Every story in the Bible has a spiritual application. If the teacher of religious education is materialistic, it will only cause the child to question, and they will come to you with their questions, giving you the opportunity to provide the spiritual application. Everything in the Bible is true in spirit, in the realm of thought, regardless of whether it was ever literally true or not, and whether it is true or not in material terms is irrelevant. The truth is that the Bible is filled with stories that illustrate spiritual truths about the formation of character. Find the spiritual truth and help your child find it. Chapter 30. How to teach your children the new thought. When teaching the ideas of the new thought in Sunday schools, the question arises as to whether we should reject the evidence of common sense provided by our 5 mortal senses. Mrs. Pendle of Barry, Washington raises this dilemma, but warns against confusing the children with complicated concepts. She suggests that instead of dismissing the senses, we should teach the children about the wise spirit within them, which is God and his Son. We explain that following this spirit will bring them health, happiness, and success, while disobeying it will lead them to unhappiness. Mrs. Pendle argues that the inner spirit is eternal truth and love, and that external influences perceived through the senses can be wrong. She explains that God guides each child individually, and what is right for one may not be right for another. If children follow wrong influences, they will experience pain sooner or later. Mrs. Pendle illustrates this with examples of how what is right for one can be wrong for another. She encourages them to follow their hearts and warns about the mistakes they may make when relying on external influences. The inner voice is our guide to avoid problems and suffering and helps us grow and achieve our goals. I tell the children that they are inherently good and that happiness comes from using their good faculties. I explain that that little feeling inside them indicates what is right and wrong. I teach them that visible things are temporary and changeable, while invisible things like that sense of inner well-being are eternal and guide us toward good and joy. I assure them that God lives and speaks in each of us through that feeling of well-being. I explain that following that inner voice, full of love and wisdom, leads to positive thoughts and actions. I tell them that we are all learning to listen to that voice, and that working together helps us make the world a better place. I tell them that long ago, few people knew about this voice. But now, with the help of schools and other means, we are all learning about it and how to unite as one big, happy, and helpful family. I encourage them to tune into that inner voice to create a more beautiful and happy world for everyone. I tell the children that although adults sometimes have difficulty abandoning old habits of fighting and selfishness, they are learning the truth of love and mutual help. Gradually, the younger generations, guided by this new thought, will inherit a better world, though it may take time. Do you think that one day, peace and harmony will reign both literally and symbolically when leaders learn to live together peacefully? Animals will follow their example. If necessary, nature will find a solution so that everyone can live in peace. Remind the children that the spirit of love that resides in each one seeks the happiness of all. Whenever they listen to that inner voice of well-being, they will find true happiness. Even mistakes are learning opportunities. Tell the children that through them, we learn to listen and follow that little voice inside us that guides us towards what is right. Tell the children not to worry if sometimes adults scold them when they think they've done the right thing. Adults, just like children, can make mistakes and speak harshly, forgetting the love that resides in everyone. Explain to them that our five senses give us information about the world, but it is the inner spirit that guides us to discern truth and make wise decisions. While the senses can be deceptive, the spirit always remains constant and true. Teach the children that a mind centered on the inner spirit is like a solid rock in the middle of a stormy sea. Although external circumstances may change, this mind remains at peace and happy, undisturbed by the fluctuations of the world. Remind them that it is important to be honest when teaching them. If you don't know the answer to a question, admit it. Children value authenticity and connect better with someone who is genuine. An honest connection between the teacher and the child is more powerful than any conventional pedagogical method. Chapter 31. How a 10-member family prepares for efficient living. A man just came to repair one of our recorders. He's the technician responsible for maintaining all the recorders in this area. Additionally, he is the seller of all the machines in this region. He's a very talented young man, 31 years old, though he looks younger. He seems like an expert at repairing machines, with an education in sales. He obtained this education in elementary school, as well as a full course at the University of Hard Sales Experiences. He has clear eyes, an alert and neat look, and is reasonably well dressed. However, he is clearly more skilled as a technician than as a salesman. Educated and cultured, I had a very pleasant and educational visit with this seller. He has a wife and 8 young children, and he also lives with his brother's wife and 2 young children, one of whom is a 7-month-old baby. His brother couldn't bear the economic pressure with a wife and 2 young children, so he left, leaving this young man with a wife and a sister-in-law, totaling 10 children, all under the same roof. He feels proud and happy about his responsibility and his clear triumphs over the circumstances. He told me, "We have good times at our house. I have 7 young children and a daughter of my own, and there's no shortage of excitement in life. When I arrive at night, 10 little children run to hug me. We are 13 at the table, 13 lucky, happy, and very funny people. After dinner, everyone has their tasks. Tom collects all the knives, Jim collects all the forks, and Bob collects the teaspoons. Little Leo collects the small dishes and takes them outside, while Jim and Joe take the plates and cups. In about 3 minutes, all the dishes are perfectly stacked in the kitchen. The tablecloth is shaken, folded, and put away. Each child does their part and none lets another do it in their place. Efficiency in the kitchen. In half an hour, all the dishes are clean and stored, and we gather to celebrate. Every night we have a tribunal. I act as the judge. It's very fun. We start with the oldest, who stands up and gives us their opinion about something, then the next one in turn. All the others listen in silence until their turn comes. It's amusing to see how eager they are sometimes to interrupt, but the judge never allows it. Everything is done in order, and the judge resolves all the differences. It's really fun. I never go to a club or even a baseball game. The fun is here with those 10 kids, my wife and my sister-in-law. We also have debates on various topics, and we follow the rules for discussion. Oh, I tell you, they are lively, healthy, and energetic kids, like little animals. They eat everything. They all go to bed at 8:30 p.m. and then the older ones and I sit quietly to chat, except for occasions when I arrive late from work. Then sometimes I take them all out of bed and we share a good dinner around the table. We have cheerful moments despite their mother's disapproving look. After dinner, we wash the utensils so that their mother can have breakfast in the morning. My wife handles all the money and spends it on the house and the children. We manage things carefully and have everything we need and more. We enjoy good food, a pleasant house to live in, and quality clothing. People can always get along, you know, if they are careful and work together. My wife is excellent at managing finances. My sister-in-law also helps us, and we get along well. My 7 children are learning to be salespeople. You would laugh if you saw what happens almost every night when I come home. All the kids play at being salespeople, from the oldest to the youngest, who is only 3 years old. Each one has a little bag and carries samples in it, those bags that are bought at the local store. You would laugh seeing how they approach and play at being salespeople with me. They call me by different names, from Johnson and Smith to Monmon, Rennie, and Sinitsky. One of the little ones comes up and waits patiently for me to pay attention, as if I were a big businessman and he is politely waiting to get my attention. Then he shows me his samples and explains them, and I raise all the objections I can. When he presents good arguments, I buy and place an order. He writes down my order in his little notebook, says kind and polite things, and I say goodbye to him. Then the next child comes with their bag. Sometimes a child comes back 2 or 3 times in the same afternoon, and often has a different line of samples to show each time. It's wonderful to see how these kids imitate adult salespeople and how they learn the polite way to approach potential buyers, present their arguments, and get orders. It's more fun than any play, seeing these little ones, and they are all so smart, handsome, healthy, and successful. Even now they show success in everything they do, and the oldest of them is only 14 years old. As for their education, I asked, "Oh, they all go to school as much as they can. They are also bright kids and learn quickly." "How nice to hear you say that. Make sure each of your children at least finishes high school. Then, if any of them wants to go to university, make sure they can do it. You'll see, formal education will make them even brighter and more effective as salespeople. For example, you yourself could have sold higher quality products and earned a lot more money at your age if you had had a university education from the start, don't you think?" He looked thoughtful for a moment and replied, "Yes, I think you're right. I know that due to the lack of education, I can't express myself in English as well as I should, and that's why I'm not as good a salesperson as I could have been. I know all the practical aspects, but I don't make as good an impression as I would if I could use better English and speak on a wider range of topics. I think you're right, and you can be sure I'll make sure my children receive all the possible education," I continued. "Make sure you encourage them to take technical and manual training jobs that are now offered in schools. You live in a place with wonderfully good schools of that type. I mean to say that no man can think correctly unless he has learned to do precise and thorough work with his hands. That's the secret to the clumsiness of so many men in sales. They never learn to do useful and precise work with their hands, so they can't think in a useful and precise way. True education involves developing the capacities of the mind, hands, and heart. It's evident that you're starting off well with your children. They are certainly cultivating their hearts and yours in their beautiful family life. They're also exercising their minds to some extent now. Just make sure they get practical and technical education for their hands, and even more education for their minds. Don't make the mistake of sacrificing education for hands and minds in search of a little money. When the children reach the age at which they want to leave school to make money, the young man who leaves school at the 14th of May earn more money by 21, but his earning ability will increase very slowly from 21 to 35. On the other hand, the one who attends and then goes to university may not earn as much at 21, but he will earn much more at 35, and his earning capacity will continue to increase for some time more. Moreover, he will never fall to the level of earnings that he would have had if he had abandoned his education in primary school. Statisticians back this claim without a doubt. There's another aspect in this matter of education. At 31, you have some interest in part of your business and family, right? Not just those 2 interests, but they're enough, I replied. So I asked him, "But what will happen to your family affairs in 25 years? Your children might be scattered all over the place by then. Your home may contain no one but you and your wife, or you might not even have a wife. What will happen to your family affairs then? They will only be a memory, and memories are not very satisfying as a constant source of occupation. And what about your business affairs? If you keep earning money as you have been, there may come a time when you get tired of accumulating wealth. Don't you think? Well then, what do you plan to do to keep life meaningful? Of course, you may be able to sit by the fireplace and enjoy your grandchildren, but that too can become monotonous. Earning money will eventually bore you because it will become an old story. Your children will have grown up and be in their own homes. What will interest you at that point? This is where education plays a crucial role. The longer you stay in school, the more you will learn about this world, the people who inhabit it, the principles on which it is based, and what has been achieved. You will have more points of interest and connections with this world. In other words, you will have more passion for this world. These interests will be necessary as you age. You will need them all if you want to enjoy a long life. By providing more educational opportunities for them, you are contributing to the progress of society. The evolution of humanity occurs in this way. Do not let your contribution stop because you are eager for your children to enter the world of business. The laws of evolution and progress require that all your children continue their education. Since you stopped at elementary school, some of your children may be in a position to attend college and reach a higher level of intellectual development. This could set a new standard for your family. If any of your children want to go to college, support them, and this will accelerate the evolutionary process. He responded, I think you're right. I'll think it through carefully, and you can be sure I'll be more determined than ever to ensure my children continue attending school as long as they take advantage of it properly. Now, after having enjoyed this conversation, I must head to Mr. Bland's house, where I've installed 9 new recorders that are waiting to teach the girls how to use them. If your recorder gets damaged again, let me know and I'll come repair it. He replied, Thank you, I also enjoyed your visit. I think we've both learned something from this conversation. Then, I sat down and recorded this conversation on the newly repaired recorder. Chapter 32. How to deal with the habit of arguing. Certainly, there is a 20-year-old young man who tends to contradict, question, or debate most statements made by his family and friends. He always places himself on the opposite side just for the sake of arguing. It is evident that something has not worked properly in the family he grew up in, since they allowed this habit to take root when he was a child. This is not a case where all family members argue about trivial matters, and this strong-willed young man often prevails in the discussions. The only solution I know for this extremely unpleasant habit of opposition and confrontation is the cure of silence. Absolute non-resistance will break the habit when nothing else works. No one in the family has enough self-control to apply this cure. The habit of confrontation is generally the result of a family dynamic that encourages discussion. This instills in the child the habit of arguing to support their point of view instead of reasoning to discover the truth. Often, it is the parents who establish this pattern. At times, a single family member sets the tone, and the parents remain passive, allowing the younger members to confront each other. Then, when the habit becomes annoying, everyone joins the fight or simply feels uncomfortable. In my experience, it takes the contribution of the entire family for a member to develop confrontational behaviors. I've also learned that a parent can prevent the formation of this habit if they intervene on time. In my case, I managed to avoid this pattern with my children when they were around 10 or 12 years old by systematically and persistently applying what I called the cure of isolation. As soon as the first sign of tension appeared in a discussion, I would send each child to a separate room with the instruction to stay there until they could play and discuss without getting angry or contradicting each other. The child had the freedom to decide when they were ready to return and participate without disruptions. It could be after 10 minutes, but they were allowed to make their own decision about when they felt prepared for a game with the rules of a civilized society and friendly relations. At first, I had to send them to their rooms frequently, but after a few days they began to understand the purpose and stayed on the more pleasant side of that boundary where attention began. However, it is important to note that I would never have been able to help my children if I hadn't first worked on myself. I stopped trying to solve their disputes and simply required them to resolve them themselves through a friendly and respectful discussion or to leave the matter untouched. This was my constant rule until they developed the habit of debating friendly, with the intention of discovering the truth instead of defending their own point of view. I consider this discipline to be one of the best things I've done for my children. If I hadn't discovered it until they were 20 years old, instead of 10, I should have tried a cure of silence instead of the cure of isolation. When the boy makes the first opposing statement, everyone else goes silent. Do this always, and it won't be long before he understands the point of view and controls his feelings and tongue. It won't take long before he starts reasoning for the truth instead of fighting for his point of view. It's worth it for the entire family to make a serious effort to break this habit before it becomes a deep-rooted bad habit. Don't you see where this leads? After a while, all the reasoning of the man has the same goal, the goal of justifying himself, right or wrong. This becomes a mental habit for him, a perpetual attitude of thinking. It is very important to avoid letting children develop the bad habit of unpleasantly arguing with each other. Chapter 33. When your daughter declares her independence. Here is a letter I just dictated to a mother whose daughter has asserted her independence. If the daughter has been raised with the idea of no, and she has just taken a step forward on her own path and assumed her individuality, I say, well done. But if she is simply being selfish and takes her friends into her room to keep them away from the family, it is a shame. She is making a mistake, and she will discover it through some unpleasant experience. Clearly, the poor girl is not getting along with her family. This is mainly the result of poor upbringing. Her selfish daughter does not come from a truly altruistic family. There are mothers who think they are altruistic, but raise selfish daughters, educating us by growing up without learning to help their mothers or anyone around them, simply because the mother preferred to do the work herself, rather than take the trouble to teach and guide the children until they learn to help. A mother like this often thinks she has been very altruistic, but she hasn't been. She simply did what was easiest for her, and her children do the same. Children must be taught to cooperate almost from birth. They must help each other and appreciate the help they receive. If the mother is wise and truly altruistic, she will teach and practice this cooperation. Each child will have certain responsibilities and will be taught to fulfill them faithfully. A mother like this will not have a daughter like the one you imagine, who justifies her actions with abstract statements from the books of New Thought. If she didn't find justification in New Thought books, she would find it elsewhere. People can always find reasons for what they want or choose to do. I imagine this girl has been pushed to the limit, and now that she has grown up, she is determined to take her life into her own hands. Undoubtedly, she is making a mistake by trying to live her life apart from the family. But I suppose the family is making it very difficult for her to live her own life. If the mother were to adopt some of the New Thought and give the girl her freedom, truly both in spirit and name, the girl would soon respond to her. The mother must learn to cooperate, and so must the father. If he showed a willingness to help the girl and let her live her life her way, the girl would soon come to have a higher regard for him and treat him more kindly. In this world, we receive exactly what we give. A selfish daughter comes from a selfish mother. The mother may have tried to be altruistic, but she was simply reckless instead of altruistic. The fact that the mother feels mistreated or grouchy will certainly never court the daughter to bring herself and her friends into a family circle. Here is a beautiful phrase I found yesterday, written by Confucius. Make those who are near happy, and those who are far will come. How happy is the family in their close circle? What kind of reception do they give the girl when she brings her friends? How do they behave with the girl when she takes her friends into her room, with cold looks, sharp words, or disapproving gestures? Do you think any of these attitudes are attractive? Of course not. They just give the girl a reason to distance herself with her friends. Don't you understand? The mother is the key to the situation. Let her wake up and adopt some of the New Thought. If the girl has even a little New Thought, she is on the right path. Although she may make mistakes on her learning journey, she will surely overcome this over time. Don't worry about the unhappiness of others. Remember, we get what we attract, and unpleasant experiences tend to correct the wrong mental attitude that attracts them toward us. Is the mother interested in making the girl happy and helping to make her friends happy, or is she more focused on making the girl and her friends join the mother and family's happiness? Don't you see that, in the latter case, the mother is as selfish as the daughter? My little shorthand Libra just exclaimed, "Oh my! If Dad and Mum and the kids didn't see and help me understand my company, I wouldn't know what to do with them." Chapter 34. Balance between firmness and comfort. Here is a letter from a woman with a husband, a small child, and many problems. It seems the child is similar to her, while the father has a bad temper and scolds the child, sometimes even when it is not his fault. Then the mother comforts the child and cries with him, sends him to another room, and scolds the husband, reminding him of the family tensions at home and that if he, as the father, is not careful, his little son might end up facing the same problems. The husband responds by saying that she is spoiling the child by pampering him so much. When the mother calls the 10-year-old child, who was scolded, to another room and hugs him, he cries, saying, "Oh, Mom, this could be my downfall." Don't you think this is something natural? To me, this is an echo of the past. That is why I'm going to call a meeting of all the mothers who want harmony in the home, and I hope the fathers will listen and pay attention to the talk I'm going to give to their wives. The husbands will share the experience of all the listeners, and I hope they will accept the advice and improve. To all the interested wives, I say the following. Clearly, you and your husband are people with opposing personalities. He is masculine and rough, while you are sentimental and feminine. Your son resembles you more. The greatest danger to him is that you pamper him at inappropriate times. You must teach him to face challenges like a man, not like a woman. Never pity him in those moments. Tell him to prepare himself and receive criticism maturely, like an adult or a football player would face the blows. If his father is unfair with him sometimes, we are all unfair at times, but the father's unfairness is not an excuse for the child to cry. Help develop the boy's masculinity in those moments, rather than reinforcing his more sensitive side. Tell him to play and be proud of himself. Explain that his father's flaws are no worse than his or yours. They are simply different. That's all. Make him understand that his father doesn't intend to be unfair or cruel, just as you don't. He simply is not perfect, as no one is, and that is his particular form of imperfection. Tell your son that his father's roughness is due to a lack of self-control, not bad intentions, and that his own crying is also the result of a lack of self-control. And remember, crying is no better than roughness. Then, test your son to face criticism calmly, without letting his feelings affect him too much, so he can correct, if possible, the actions that led to the criticism, and forget it as soon as possible. Afterward, help him forget by taking his mind off your own thoughts and conversations, and encouraging him to focus on something worthwhile. Every child needs a loving and understanding mother, and no less important, needs a sometimes rough father and many playmates. A mother like you softens the child until she weakens him, while harsh criticism forges him like iron turning into steel. Between sentimentality and character building, the kind of character that turns challenges into positive outcomes, do not defend your son or daughter, nor anyone's harsh criticism. Teach them to face criticism with maturity. They will thank you later. And as you and your children learn not to give too much importance to unpleasant events and to value the good intention found in the father's heart, they will discover that all past discord has been overcome. This is how belief in good dispels unpleasantness. Chapter 35. How neighboring mothers can cooperate for your development and happiness and that of your children. Is there a community center in your locality where you can go for new ideas, friendly relationships, and motivation? If there isn't one, consider the possibility of creating your own club and inviting your closest neighbors to join. You can meet once a week or every 2 weeks, choose 1 or 2 leaders to manage the club, and decide on a small study program. Prepare your lessons at home and then meet to discuss and debate the selected topic. This will be beneficial to stimulate your minds and offer a break and distraction from daily work. If you and your friends are all mothers with children, you can take turns watching the children while the others attend the club. Organize a small club for the children and ensure that the meeting is equally enriching and fun for them, just like the Mothers Club is for you. The mothers can learn to tell stories to the children, and each should practice their storytelling skills. Then, when the children gather the following week, they can share the stories from the previous week before the mother in charge tells new ones. Let the children take turns telling stories and help remember forgotten details. This exercise will develop children's observation, memory, and expression, as well as those of the mothers. All mothers should study storytelling to make the most of their interactions with children. A group of mothers can easily collaborate to make Club Day a special, inspiring, and restful day for both themselves and their children. Make sure each child is well fed before being taken to the club, and agree mutually not to give them food unless necessary. Of course, it's important for you and your friends to take a day off 1 or 2 times a week. Every woman deserves a day off each week, and there's no reason why you can't use your creativity and cooperate with others to achieve this. It's important to find ways to break free from the regular routine and dedicate a day to explore new thoughts from various sources. In the past, women were self-sufficient and took care of all their family's needs, from shearing sheep to weaving clothes and making homemade products. They did all these tasks. Cooperation between people has taught us that by working together, we can get better results and reduce unnecessary workloads. Today, the clothes we wear and the food we eat are the result of the cooperation of many people. So why not apply this same principle of cooperation to the care of our children, and to provide us with education, social relationships, and free time? Why not care for your neighbor's children today while she relaxes, and in exchange, allow her to take care of yours next week while you enjoy a day off? It's a simple concept that doesn't require money. Just an extension of the great principle of cooperation that is transforming our world into a great community, instead of keeping it divided into thousands of families that only care about themselves and ignore their neighbors. Cooperation is really simple when we allow love and patience to do their perfect work in us and others. We have always been interdependent, forming part of each other, all parts of a whole whose body is nature and whose soul is God. To the extent that we recognize this, we will cooperate for the good of all. Chapter 36. How to teach your children the value of money. Next, I am reproducing the letter a mother gave to her daughter on her graduation day. I wrote it at her request. It would have been more economical for her if she had educated her daughter with these ideas from the beginning, but it's never too late to make things right. Better on graduation day than on wedding day, or never. This same idea has been used with several people I know, both boys and girls, and it has worked wonderfully. Most young people just need a little guidance in this matter and some encouragement to practice and maintain it, and soon they begin to reap the joy that comes from doing something well. Once they acquire the habit, managing money in a way that builds a constantly growing savings fund is not difficult, in addition to the solid satisfaction of controlling income and oneself. In the next chapter, you will find a second letter that complements this one, a letter that is helping several boys and girls pave their own way toward financial security. Here is the letter whose heading was for Maria, June 25, 1910. I firmly believe that one of the essential elements for living a happy and successful life is the knowledge and practice of proper financial management. I also believe that every girl should learn this, just as every boy should, and that in order to learn how to manage money, it is important for each girl to have an allowance and certain needs that she should purchase with that allowance. Furthermore, I believe it is fundamental for you to learn how to handle money from an early age when your mistakes won't have costly consequences. Therefore, I have decided to commemorate your graduation day by granting you a monthly allowance, but with certain conditions to facilitate your learning of proper money management. For 6 months, I will pay your allowance in 4 equal parts on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of each month. This way, you will avoid having a big deficit at the end of the month due to being imprudent near the beginning. However, there are some rules you must follow. First, you must manage your money in a way that keeps you completely free from debt. Do not buy anything unless you have enough money to pay the full price. Second, you should not ask for additional money to increase your allowance, nor even suggest it. You should not complain at any time that the amount is insufficient. The lesson you must learn is how to manage your allowance properly. If you learn to do this well, it's possible that your allowance may gradually increase over time, but until you have mastered this lesson, your allowance should be strictly adhered to, and no increase will be considered. Third, you should use your allowance to buy certain basic necessities. This plan will allow you to manage your money so that you can cover your needs before spending on luxuries. With practice, you will realize that in all situations, it's necessary to set aside a portion for unforeseen events that never repeat but always arise in anyone's life. The unexpected is something sure to happen every day, and your allowance for yourself should be generous enough to allow you to face these unforeseen events without going into debt and with a small surplus. If you follow this advice, you will feel happy and satisfied with all your expenses. On the other hand, if you don't adequately consider these unforeseen events, you will regret your spending afterward and simply feel unsatisfied and unhappy with yourself. Good money management will eliminate many annoyances and unhappy feelings, and the small purchases you make sensibly will not cause you worry. With your monthly allowance, you will buy everything you need, including items like hosiery, except for your dresses, hats, coats, underwear, and shoes, which will be provided by me as necessary. From the day you begin working, I will grant the above-mentioned allowance as long as you fulfill your part of the agreement. I also agree to allow you to learn from your own mistakes and refrain as much as possible from criticizing your spending or adding further restrictions to the ones mentioned. All young people make mistakes and learn from them. My job is to give you the opportunity to make those mistakes and learn from them while you are still young, when the cost of those mistakes is not as high as it might be in the future. If, after 6 months, you have managed your money in a way that avoids debt and have prioritized your needs before spending on non-essentials, I will increase your allowance and give you more freedom to manage it as you wish. I will also pay you the full allowance in one lump sum at the beginning of the month instead of in 4 parts. Chapter 37. What I think about marriage and divorce. The New Thought advocates for each individual to be their own spiritual leader, which makes it risky for one person to speak on behalf of everyone regarding marriage and divorce. Therefore, I will share my personal opinions which many followers of New Thought will likely support. We believe that sexuality is divine, inherent in every living being and in every particle of creation. It has always existed and will manifest in various ways according to each individual's development, changing yet maintaining its essence. History shows the variability in sexual expression, and the future is a matter of speculation. We trust in the evolution of traditional marriage, which will adapt and persist over time. Jesus suggested that marriage was a temporary creation meant to be surpassed. It was a measure to protect children and mothers in less developed societies. It is crucial that fathers and mothers take care of their children, but society must intervene if they do not. Marriage laws exist while there is economic inequality, but eventually, with a fair distribution of work and wealth, these laws will become unnecessary. This will prevent unhappy households that lead to problems such as alcoholism and suicide. The lack of economic resources and social pressure to meet certain standards are the main causes of family conflicts and divorces. Each divorce results from a combination of both reasons. New Thought advocates for an equitable distribution of wealth, education, and opportunities for everyone, which would eliminate poverty and materialistic competition, allowing love to flourish without restrictions. Love is the pillar of marriage. When it disappears, duty or economic necessity keeps couples together. Constant courtship is key, as love grows with attention and dies due to neglect. The lack of time to cultivate love leads people to seek satisfaction in superficial things, such as money or social position, resulting in divorces. Divorce should be seen as a new beginning, not as a failure. A solid marriage is more valuable than divorce. Society must understand and accept divorce until we learn to strengthen our marriages. Laws and institutions, including marriage, must adapt to human well-being. Sometimes, economic conditions and emotions distort love and family care, and the law must intervene to protect the most vulnerable. The Church upholds the sacrilege, but New Thought views marriage as an evolution, initially designed to protect women and children, but now centered on ensuring the protection of children within a changing context of gender equality and purchasing power. The Church defends traditions, but New Thought advocates for free will and the right of each individual to choose to enter or dissolve a marriage according to their conscience and the impulse of their spirit. New Thought also emphasizes the importance of obeying current social laws, recognizing that these may change over time to adapt to new realities and conditions, often led by progressive thinkers, while conservatives and religious leaders resist change. Marriage and divorce laws created by humans for their convenience used to favor men, considering women as property. If women did not comply, they were abandoned without support or food. To maintain this control, there was an agreement among men that stigmatized repudiated women, leaving them with no options. 2,000 years ago, this was common and illegal. Jesus, however, criticized this practice, insisting that women should be legally liberated before they could marry again. He did not condemn divorce itself, but rather the unjust abandonment, as stated in Matthew 5:31 and 32. Divorce is only justified to avoid adultery. Jesus taught men because culturally they were responsible for women. Without the status of a legal wife, women faced severe consequences and were abandoned by their husbands. In contrast, men could repudiate with weak excuses. Jesus urged that divorce should be legally recognized, otherwise the husband would be responsible for causing adultery. Jesus was addressing those who separated from their wives by force, not those who did so voluntarily and legally. Both the marriage certificate and the divorce certificate are legal records of truths that exist in the hearts and minds of the individuals involved, allowing for the liberation from marriage when necessary. This will prevent harm. By freeing ourselves from unnecessary bonds, we can work together on what is essential and have the freedom to follow our own choices when we desire. After reflecting on history, my experiences, and those of others, I conclude that true monogamous marriage is an ideal shared by all, regardless of their beliefs or personalities. It is the constant search for lifelong companionship, even eternal when found. Marriage laws become unnecessary because they are naturally fulfilled. The impulse of sex is a fundamental truth of creation, more powerful than social norms. Even those who oppose divorce may change their minds when they experience their personal need for it. Divorce can be a misfortune, but persisting in an unhappy marriage is even worse. Chapter 38. Hypocrites and Divorce. No human being can satisfy everyone, not even many. Why try? The best thing any soul can do for themselves or for the world is to satisfy themselves in every situation of life, acting in such a way that they can fully approve of their own actions. Hiding a divorce is as damaging to human character as hiding a love affair, concealing a petty and unpleasant attitude behind flashy appearance, depriving oneself and children of what is necessary to impress society. Pretending to be someone you are not, in short, acting like a hypocrite in any aspect, is condemning and impoverishing your own soul. What the neighbors think does not matter in the least. What you think about it makes all the difference. In this world, it is the reluctance and inclination to please others at the expense of your own desire that distorts your being. There lies the true and only lasting punishment for any course of action. If you know you are right and allow any other individual their right to think whatever they want about you, you will walk with integrity and freedom as the being that you are. Not even unpopularity, nor its opposite, will disturb the peace of your soul. You will respect yourself, and over time the waves of unpopularity will dissipate, and people will come to know you as you truly are, not as they once believed you to be. The truth will prevail if you calmly stay on the path of your soul and allow it to flourish. The condemnation received by a popular person whose divorce is discovered is not so much a condemnation of divorce itself, but a condemnation of the deceit practiced. Most people also hold the ideal of tolerance and an open mind, which at least leads them to understand divorce when there seems to be a valid reason for separation. However, no one supports the ideal of deceit, although sadly, many practice it. If a divorced person is honest and has the courage to uphold their convictions, if they lead their life modestly, but without hiding anything, in time they will be forgiven. Even if the neighbors initially thought they were at fault in the matter, we can take Mrs. Mary Baker Eddy as an example. Almost no one remembers that she was ever divorced, except when some detractor tries to use it against her, and when that happens, she has tens of thousands of followers who defend her integrity, and that is what truly matters. Henry W. Bisher was another case where issues arose that the world condemns as worse than divorce, but he faced the situation and did great work. His popularity was affected for a while, but from all of this, a broader and deeper public respect arose based on knowledge of the person as they truly were. Today, most people believe that Bisher was innocent. Popularity is based on knowledge. An attractive, witty, and unknown young woman moves into a new neighborhood and is immediately accepted. At first glance, she becomes popular. But what value does that popularity have? Its value is simply measured by the good times she can enjoy through invitations from the local residents. However, if she stays in that neighborhood for years and proves her worth, a real public opinion about her will form, one that goes beyond mere popularity. It is an opinion rooted in her true nature and cannot be shaken by rumors. If she proves to be worthy, her popularity transforms into a true friendship based on her authenticity. If she fails to meet expectations, if she is unstable, deceitful, unreliable, or unfriendly, her popularity will disappear, and she will be forced, if she values popularity, to move to another neighborhood where she can capitalize on a new wave of popularity based on her superficial appearance, which is so misleading. Do not think that the world will not forgive divorce. It will, and it does. You should forgive yourself, and in time the whole world will come to know you, for there is nothing hidden that should not be revealed. To know everything is to forgive everything.